Nobody tells you that healing can make you feel farther from people before it makes you feel closer to yourself. At first, you think healing will make life softer. You think it will make your relationships better, your heart lighter, your world more peaceful. And sometimes it does. But before that peace comes, many people go through a painful phase where they start feeling disconnected from almost everyone around them. The conversations feel different. The jokes do not land the same. The energy feels heavier. The patterns become more obvious. And the people you once felt naturally close to begin to feel strangely far away. That is where confusion begins. Because when healing starts changing you, one of the first things it changes is what you can tolerate. You can no longer laugh your way through what hurts you. You can no longer ignore what drains you. You can no longer call chaos connection just because it feels familiar. You can no longer keep betraying your peace just to keep people comfortable. And that shift can make you feel like you are losing everyone. This is why so many people in healing ask, why do I feel disconnected from everyone? Why do old friendships feel heavy now? Why does being around certain people suddenly exhaust me? Why do I feel guilty for changing? Because healing is not only about becoming softer, it is also about becoming clearer. And clarity changes relationships. When you are unhealed, you may have bonded through trauma, people-pleasing, emotional dependency, survival, gossip, over-explaining, or pretending to be okay. You may have stayed in certain spaces because they were familiar, not because they were good for your soul. You may have confused being needed with being loved. You may have confused intensity with intimacy. You may have called emotional chaos a deep connection because your nervous system was used to living in tension. But healing starts exposing all of that. It shows you where you were shrinking to stay accepted. It shows you where you were abandoning yourself to avoid loneliness. It shows you where your relationships were built more on old wounds than on real alignment. And once you see that clearly, it becomes hard to go back. That is why healing can feel lonely. Not because you are becoming better than other people. Not because you have to cut everyone off. Not because you suddenly stop loving people. But because the version of you that fit into certain dynamics is dying. And when that version starts fading, the relationships built around that version begin to feel unstable too. This is where many people panic. They think, am I becoming cold? Am I losing my heart? Why can't I be who I used to be? But maybe the better question is, why was I forcing myself to be that person for so long? Because sometimes you are not becoming distant. You are becoming honest. You are becoming honest about what leaves your spirit tired. You are becoming honest about where you feel unseen. You are becoming honest about which connections only survive when you stay small, silent, and self-abandoning. And honesty can look like distance to people who benefited from the old version of you. That is painful. Because healing does not only change your habits, it changes your entire emotional language. It changes what your body calls safe. It changes what your heart calls love. It changes what your soul is willing to stay inside. So yes, as you heal, you may outgrow certain people. Not always because they are bad. Not always because they meant harm. But because some relationships were only designed for the version of you that was surviving, not the version of you that is waking up. That truth hurts, because the heart still remembers the history. It still remembers the closeness. It still remembers the role people played when you needed them. So even when you know the connection no longer fits, there can still be grief. A deep grief. Grief that says, I love you, but I cannot live here anymore. Grief that says, I miss what this once was, but I cannot force it back. Grief that says, I am changing, and I do not know how to bring everyone with me. This is the hidden pain of healing. People talk about boundaries. They talk about self-love. They talk about peace. But they do not always talk about how painful it is to become someone your old world no longer fully understands. Because when you start healing, your circle often changes before your confidence does. Your energy changes before your life fully does. Your inner standards rise before your outer world catches up. So you stand in this strange middle, too awake to keep pretending, too tender to stop caring, too changed to fully belong where you used to belong, but not yet settled into the life that truly matches who you are becoming. That middle place can feel incredibly lonely. If this is speaking to where you are right now, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Beyond the Mind, and share it with someone who may be quietly going through this same shift. Because a lot of people think healing is supposed to make them feel instantly connected, when sometimes it first shows them how disconnected they have actually been. The truth is, healing makes you outgrow what no longer matches your nervous system, your truth, and your peace. You start noticing how much effort some connections require. You start noticing which people only understand the old version of you. You start noticing where your body tightens, where your energy drops, where your mind becomes noisy after certain interactions. That awareness is not cruelty. It is intelligence. Your soul is learning discernment. Your body is learning safety. Your heart is learning that love does not have to cost your stability. And once those lessons begin landing deeply, you stop reaching for connection at any price. You stop forcing conversations that leave you drained. You stop chasing people who only respond to your wounded self. You stop staying available to dynamics that ask you to betray your healing just to keep the peace. That does not make you selfish. It makes you aligned. Still, one of the hardest parts of this phase is guilt, because healing often makes you feel guilty for changing. Guilty for needing space, guilty for not enjoying what you once enjoyed, guilty for saying no, guilty for outgrowing the very people who once felt like home. But not every familiar place is meant to remain your home forever. Some people are part of your survival chapter. Some are part of your lesson. Some are part of your awakening. And some are meant to walk with you only until you remember yourself. That does not erase their importance, it simply puts it in truth. Healing is not about becoming cold, it is about becoming real. Real about your limits, real about your energy, real about what connection actually feels like, real about the difference between love and attachment, real about the fact that some relationships only work when you are disconnected from yourself. So if you feel like you are outgrowing everyone, do not rush to assume something is wrong with you. Do not force yourself back into spaces your soul no longer fits. Do not shame yourself for changing. Do not call your healing selfish just because it made old patterns uncomfortable. Sometimes healing makes you outgrow people because it is teaching you not to confuse familiarity with alignment. It is teaching you that peace may feel empty at first if your system was trained on noise. It is teaching you that real connection will not ask you to abandon yourself. It is teaching you that loneliness is sometimes the bridge between false belonging and true belonging. That bridge is painful, but it is sacred. Because on the other side of outgrowing what no longer fits is not just loss, it is clarity, it is self-respect, it is cleaner love, it is truer friendship. It is the beginning of a life where your spirit does not have to shrink just to stay included. So no, you are not cold. No, you are not too much. No, you are not wrong for changing. You are healing. And healing will always disturb what was built on the version of you that did not yet know your worth. If this made sense to you, don't lose it in your feed. Like the video, share it with someone on this path, and subscribe so you stay connected to every new talk on Beyond the Mind.